Mountains. They were ready for absolutely anything. So why did they slash their way out of their own tent and flee into the negative 30 degrees Celsius night? Terrified and without shoes?
Blood on the grass won't wash away. Undetected footprints hidden in the mud.
In 1959, 9 of Russia's most experienced young hikers set out to conquer the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains. They were ready for absolutely anything. So why did they slash their way out of their own tent and flee into the negative 30 degrees Celsius night? Terrified and without shoes? When rescuers finally found them, they had crushed ribs, fractured skulls, and maybe the most bizarre detail of all, the clothes that tested positive for radiation. For over 60 years, no one could explain what happened on what we now call Dead Mountain until now. In the heart of the Soviet Union, at the prestigious Ural Polytechnical Institute, a group of friends bonded over their love for the wild. Their leader was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, a gifted radio engineering student and a truly seasoned outdoorsman. His team was made up of 8 others, mostly fellow students and graduates. Don't picture amateurs. These were highly skilled, certified Grade 2 hikers with plenty of experience on long, tough journeys. Their goal was ambitious, a ski trek of over 300 kilometers set to last more than 2 weeks, culminating at the peak of Mount Otorten. It was a route classified as Category 3, the absolute most difficult in the region. Early photos from their journey show a group of smiling, confident young people laughing and building snow shelters, completely at home in the harsh beauty of the northern Urals. In a twist of fate that would save his life but haunt him forever, one of the original 10, Yuri Yudin, had to turn back early because of an illness. For the 9 who pushed on, their diaries paint a picture of a challenging but totally normal expedition. That is until February 1st. After getting lost in a nasty snowstorm, they decided to make camp on the exposed eastern slope of a mountain the local people called Dead Mountain. For reasons we are still trying to figure out, it would be their last. The group was supposed to send a telegram from a village called Vizhay no later than February 12th. When days and a week passed with total silence, their families panicked and demanded a search. On February 20th, the first rescue teams were set out. It wasn't until February 26th that a pilot finally spotted their camp from the air. What the search party found on the ground wasn't just a simple accident. It was the start of a chilling mystery. The tent was half buried and wrecked, but it wasn't the wind that had destroyed it. Investigators saw it had been sliced open with a knife from the inside. All the group's belongings were still there, their warm coats, their boots, their food, all of it neatly arranged. But leading away from the tent were 9 sets of footprints in the snow. Some were wearing only socks, some had on a single shoe, and some were completely barefoot. In temperatures that had plunged to negative 30 degrees Celsius, 9 expert hikers had abandoned their only shelter in a state of pure panic, running from something they feared more than freezing to death. The tracks led down a slope for 1.5 kilometers towards a dense forest, and then they just disappeared. Under a huge cedar tree at the forest's edge, the first 2 bodies were found, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Kervanoshenko. They were dressed only in their underwear. Their hands were burned, and the branches of the tree above them were broken up to 5 meters high. It looked like one of them had been desperately climbing, maybe to get a better view or to escape something. Over the next week, 3 more bodies were found scattered between the cedar and the tents, including the group's leader, Igor Dyatlov. It looked like they had been trying to crawl back to the camp where they finally collapsed from the cold. One of them, Rustem Slobodin, had a long crack in his skull. The coroner at the time ruled it wasn't a fatal wound, but it's hard to imagine it didn't contribute to his death. For these first 5, the official cause of death was simple: hypothermia. But the worst discoveries were yet to come. It took 2 agonizing months. It wasn't until May, when the deep winter snow finally started to melt, that the last 4 hikers were found. They were at the bottom of a ravine, buried under 4 meters of snow, and the state of their bodies completely changed the investigation. Brignol had a catastrophic skull fracture. Simeon and Dubinia both had multiple symmetrical broken ribs, the kind of injuries you'd get from a car crash. But here's the bizarre part. There were no external signs of a struggle. No cuts, no bruises, no soft tissue damage. And in the most gruesome detail of all, Dubinia was missing her tongue and eyes. As investigators struggled to make sense of these impossible injuries, another strange clue surfaced. Forensic tests on the hikers' clothes, especially on the 4 found in the ravine, showed they were contaminated with radiation. Some items had levels of beta radiation that were way higher than normal. This single fact lit a firestorm of speculation that has burned for decades. Were the hikers hit with a radiological weapon? Did they wander into a secret military test? Suddenly the story became about the radiation-dead hikers, fueling theories but that something far more sinister than an accident had happened. The official civil investigation, however, kind of shrugged at the radiation, noting it but ultimately calling it irrelevant. In May of 1959, with no solid answers, the case was abruptly closed. The official conclusion was chillingly vague. The hikers died as a result of a compelling natural force. The files were classified. The area was sealed off for 3 years, and the mystery was locked away from the public. For the next 60 years, with no clear answers, the theories ran wild. The most sensational ones involving paranormal encounters. The local Mansi people had legends about the area, making some wonder if the hikers were attacked by a yeti. Others pointed to strange orange spheres seen in the sky that night by another group 50 miles away and screamed UFOs. But none of these theories really fit the evidence. There were no other footprints, and the injuries didn't look like an animal attack. A more grounded and much more popular theory revolved around a military cover-up. The Cold War was raging, and the Ural Mountains were a known spot for Soviet industry and secret weapons tests. Could those orange orbs have been flares, or even exploding parachute mines? An aerial explosion could maybe explain the severe internal injuries without leaving marks on the outside. It would also explain the radiation. This theory got another boost from Semyon Zolotovsky, who at 38 was older and had a military past. Was he part of some secret mission? Then in 2021, 2 scientists, John and Alexander, published a study that offered the most scientifically believable explanation yet. Using advanced computer models, including animation tech from the Disney movie Frozen, they took a second look at the old, dismissed avalanche theory. They argued that the hikers themselves accidentally set the stage for the tragedy. By cutting into the snowpack to shield their tent from the wind, they had weakened the slope right above them. Over several hours, strong winds, which is katabatic winds, which is dense, heavy air rushing down the mountainside, piled up more snow on their weak spot. Then sometime in the night, a slab avalanche let loose. This wasn't a massive wave of snow, but a smaller, dense block that slid down and slammed right onto the tent. Their simulations showed this kind of impact was more than capable of causing those specific, brutal internal injuries. Pinned, hurt, and terrified in the dark, their only way out was to cut the tent. In shock, they fled downhill without their gear. This theory neatly explains the slashed tent, the panic escape, and the horrible injuries, all without needing secret weapons or aliens. The slab avalanche theory gives us a really strong explanation for the tragedy, but doesn't perfectly answer everything. What about the radiation? The most likely answer is that it was just a coincidence. A couple of the hikers had worked in the nuclear industry. Thorium, which is radioactive, was even used in camping lanterns back then. The low levels found were probably from that and had nothing to do with how they died. And Dubinia's missing tongue, as gruesome as it sounds, this is also probably due to nature. Her body was laying in a running stream for almost 3 months. The water would have sped up decomposition, and small scavengers could easily account for the missing soft tissues. The discolored skin and gray hair that some reports mention, also likely just a result of the bodies being exposed to the harsh elements for months. The Dyatlov past story is an incredible mix of human courage, a tragic mistake, and a mystery that has captivated the world. While conspiracies about secret weapons and aliens make for great stories, the science points to a conclusion that is more down to earth, but no less terrifying. It seems rare. The delayed slab avalanche started a chain reaction of fatal decisions. The compelling natural force that the original investigators mentioned, once seen as part of a cover-up, now seems like the most honest description of what really happened. It was a heroic fight against impossible odds, and in the end, the mountain won. The slab avalanche theory is the most complex explanation scientists have given us. But does it feel right to y'all? What do y'all really think happened down on Dead Mountain? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you're fascinated by history's greatest unsolved cases, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more.
Blood on the grass won't wash away. Undetected footprints hidden in the mud.